I got a call from the bank at 3 p.m. on an ordinary Tuesday. The manager told me I had a $15,000 debt in my name, overdue by 2 weeks. I never asked for that money. My own daughter had stolen it by forging my signature. And the worst part, she had already spent every cent on a trip to Hawaii with her husband. Before we continue, subscribe to William's Revenge Stories. Activate the bell because we have new stories every day. Leave your like and tell us in the comments what city you are watching from. My name is Michael Reed. I'm 62 years old, and for the last 4 decades I have worked as a civil engineer in Chicago. I have built highways, bridges, homes. I have seen cities transform under my plans and my decisions. I have been a cautious, disciplined man who always fulfilled his obligations and expected the same from his family. But that Tuesday, the 19th of November, 2023, everything changed. The bank manager's name was Charles Evans. His voice was professional, almost robotic. When he spoke those words, I will never forget. Mr. Reed, we are calling because your $15,000 loan is due today. The monthly payments have not been made since August. We need to resolve this immediately. I asked him to repeat himself. I didn't understand. I had not requested any loan. My accounts were in order. I had enough money, even some savings invested in pension funds. Sir, perhaps you don't recall, but the loan was requested 8 months ago in March. We have your application here, your ID, your signature. Charles's words echoed in my head like a distant sound. March. 8 months ago. I was in Boston in March working on a rehab project. How could I have applied for a loan in Chicago if I was out of town? I asked him to send me the documentation immediately. He agreed, but warned that if I didn't pay in the next few days, the bank would begin legal collection actions. I hung up the phone with trembling hands. It was a strange tremor, not of fear, but of profound confusion. I opened my email on the computer. There it was, a notification from the bank from March 2023 confirming the loan approval. The money had been deposited into an account I didn't recognize. During those first few minutes, I thought about fraud. I thought about identity theft. I thought about criminals operating on the internet. But there was something strange about all this. The money was not in a new account. It was in a sub-account that I had but rarely used. A sub-account I had opened years ago when Emily needed help paying a college debt. Emily, my only daughter, she was 28 years old. She worked as a human resources advisor at a medium-sized company. She was married to Jason Miller, a 32-year-old man who worked in real estate sales. They had met 4 years ago at a social event. At first, he seemed like a nice guy, though somewhat superficial, but I didn't want to judge. Emily seemed happy, and that was what mattered. I opened the attached file with the loan details. The application showed my full name, Michael Reed. My ID number correct, my signature identical to mine. But my signature wasn't there. Someone had copied it. Someone who had access to my documents. I felt a coldness in my chest. It wasn't the cold of sickness. It was the cold of slow realization. The cold of seeing someone you loved from a completely new perspective. But I still didn't want to believe it. Maybe Jason had done something stupid. Maybe Emily had been deceived. I needed answers before making any accusations. I dialed Emily's number. She answered on the second ring. Dad, what's wrong? Her voice sounded normal, unconcerned. There was no guilt. There was no tension. That made me hesitate for a moment. I need you to come to the house tonight. It's important. There was a brief silence. Is everything okay? She asked in a tone that seemed genuinely worried. I'll come after work. I'll be there at 7 o'clock. I spent the rest of the afternoon printing documents, reviewing emails, tracking money movements. The $15,000 loan had been deposited into that sub-account the same day it was approved. And from that very day, the money began to disappear. Small transfers, online purchases, deposits into other accounts, all meticulously recorded, but also meticulously disguised. I found a receipt from a travel agency. Hawaii. Flights for 2 people. Luxury hotel reservation for 10 days. All confirmed for the month of June. June 2023. Just 5 months ago. My daughter had lied to me. Or worse, She hadn't lied to me directly. She simply had not told me the truth. And she had done something that could not be easily forgiven. She had stolen my identity. She had forged my signature. She had taken on debt in my name. She had gambled with my reputation, with my credit, with my future. When Emily arrived home that night, I was sitting in the living room surrounded by printed papers. Her face changed when she saw my eyes. She knew. Somehow she knew that I knew. Emily walked slowly into the living room. Her body tensed when she saw the documents scattered on the dining room table. She said nothing for the first few seconds, just stood there watching, processing. Then she looked at me, and in that instant her expression changed completely. The confidence vanished. What remained was pure panic. "What is all this?" she asked, although she clearly already knew. Her voice had dropped to an almost inaudible whisper. "Sit down, Emily," I replied with a calm I did not feel inside. My tone was firm, the one I used years ago when she made childish mistakes. She obeyed without protest, slumping into the chair across from me as if her legs couldn't support her. I took the bank statement and placed it directly in front of her. I pointed to the loan approval date. March 8 months ago, $15,000 that I supposedly requested. Then I showed her the application documents. "Your name doesn't appear here. Only mine, my ID, my signature." I paused deliberately, a signature I did not make. Her eyes scanned the papers as if hoping to find an escape in the printed letters. There was none. The facts were there, unchangeable, concrete. I watched her swallow hard. Her hands were trembling slightly. "Dad," she began but stopped. She didn't know what to say. The truth was too big, too obvious to deny. "Was it you?" I asked, although the answer was already clear in her silence. I waited. I needed to hear it from her own mouth. "Yes," she finally admitted, her voice breaking. "It was me. But it wasn't just my idea. Jason needed money for." I raised my hand. I didn't want to hear excuses. "Not yet. Continue." Emily took a deep breath. The words came out in a confused rush. Jason was in trouble. He had made mistakes at the office, missing money in real estate transactions. His boss was going to file a complaint. They needed $15,000 to fix everything before it was discovered. The real estate business, of course, that world of commissions, of pressure, of quick profits. I had heard stories about Jason, how he spent more than he earned, how he was always looking for the next big sale. But I never imagined it would come to this. "And so you decided to steal it using my name?" I asked, my voice sharper now. "It wasn't stealing," she protested weakly. "I knew you had money. I thought we could pay you back later. Jason said that in 3 months he would have enough commissions to pay it all back. He said it would only be temporary." I let out a bitter laugh. "Temporary? It's been 8 months, Emily. 8 months. The bank just called me today because they haven't received a single payment. The interest has piled up. Now I owe $16,000. Her face turned pale. She didn't know that. She didn't know the payments hadn't been made. That meant Jason had lied to her, too. Or worse, that she had chosen not to check. I got up and walked to the window. I needed space. I needed air. From there, I could see the streets of Chicago at dusk. People walking, living their normal lives without betrayals, without forged documents, without lies piling up like snow in winter. "How did you do it?" I asked without turning around. "How did you forge my signature?" The silence was long. "Finally, I had photos of your documents from when you helped us open the bank account years ago. I printed one of the receipts, copied your signature, practiced many times until it looked perfect. Then I scanned it and attached it to the online application. I thought about that. She had planned. She had practiced. It was not an impulse. It was not a spur-of-the-moment mistake. It was premeditated. It was calculated deception. And the money? Where is the money, Emily?" She lowered her head. "Part of it went to pay Jason's agent, but we also bought tickets to Hawaii and a nice hotel. Jason said that after fixing everything, we needed a break. We needed to recover a trip. While the bank was looking for me, while the payments were not being made, while my credit history was deteriorating, my daughter was on a beach in Hawaii with my money, sunbathing, enjoying herself. The rage I felt at that moment was not explosive rage, the kind that shouts and breaks things. It was a cold, methodical anger, the kind that thinks clearly about consequences. It was the anger of someone whose trust had been irreparably fractured. "Does Jason know you came to tell me all this?" I asked. "No, he doesn't know the bank called you. When you get home, he'll probably get a notification that you requested information about the account. He'll realize." I nodded slowly. Somehow that fit. Jason was the type of person who would find out through automatic notifications before facing the truth directly. He was a coward in a salesman's suit. "Emily, I need you to understand something," I said, finally turning to look her in the eyes. "It's not just that you forged documents. It's not just that you stolen my name. It's that you did it knowing exactly what you were doing, knowing it was illegal, knowing it put me at risk. And you did it anyway because you wanted a trip to Hawaii." She began to cry, silent tears streaming down her cheeks.
I'm sorry, Dad.
"I'm really sorry. I didn't know it would be this serious," I thought. "You thought what? That you wouldn't find out that things would just disappear?" "I don't know," she admitted, barely audible. "That night I didn't sleep. I spent hours checking documents, researching legal options, calling a lawyer I knew. Forging documents is a felony. There could be criminal charges. There could be prison. But first, I needed to understand exactly what had happened. I needed to see all the original documents from the bank. I needed to trace every dollar. What I discovered in the following days was even worse than I imagined. Jason hadn't just been in trouble for missing money. He had also used Emily's credit for other things, online purchases, payments to third parties. A part of the money had simply disappeared with no clear explanation. And his mother, Brenda Miller, had been on the Hawaii trip too. My money had paid for the trip of my daughter's mother-in-law, the mother of the man who had manipulated her to steal from me. That was the full truth. And that truth changed me forever. 3 days after that night in my living room, I summoned Jason and Emily to a neutral cafe far from both our homes. I needed answers from both of them, not just my daughter. I needed to hear their voices, see their expressions, understand how deep the complicity went. They arrived together. Jason wore a gray suit that probably cost more than it should have. His hair was perfectly combed, a smile that vanished as soon as he saw me. Emily walked behind him, her eyes swollen, clearly not having slept well in days. They sat across from me at a small lightwood table next to a window overlooking an upscale street. "Michael," Jason began, trying to sound casual, as if we were meeting for a social reason. "Yaeli told me you had a call from the bank. It must have been a misunderstanding." "We're already in the process of misunderstanding," I interrupted, pulling out a copy of the loan application documents. I placed them on the table between us. "What do you call forging my signature on a $15,000 contract a misunderstanding?" Jason's face transformed. His tone became more defensive. "Look, I know it seems serious, but we really just needed a little money to solve a complicated situation. We planned to pay it back immediately. The commissions I was expecting came through, but there were some delays in closing transactions." "And where is the money?" I asked sharply. Jason exchanged a look with Emily. She was looking down, fidgeting with the coffee cup that had just arrived. "Part of it was used for what needed to be resolved at work," Jason explained. "But most of it is in Emily's account. Still there, Michael. We haven't spent it all." That was a blatant lie. I had access to the bank statements. I knew exactly where every dollar had gone. The tickets to Hawaii cost $3,300. The hotel, $5,800. Food and activities, another $1,200. That adds up to $10,300. All paid with my money in June. I saw Jason lower his head briefly. Then he raised his eyes, and in them was a mixture of shame and defiance. Emily needed a break. She had been working very hard. I thought she deserved a special trip. A break? "Jason, do you know what I deserve?" My voice was low but firm. "I deserve respect. I deserve honesty. I deserve for my identity not to be used for criminal transactions." "It's not a crime," he protested, though his tone suggested he didn't believe that himself. "It's a loan between family. Things just got complicated. It is the crime of forgery, I replied. And the bank is already considering legal action. I've spoken to my lawyer. If I don't pay the full debt in 2 weeks, they will file a formal complaint. Emily finally raised her head. Her eyes were teary again. Dad, Jason can pay now. He received his commissions. We can have the money in your account by the end of the month. Commissions? I asked. From real transactions or transactions that covered up previous problems. The silence was deafening. Jason didn't answer. That was confirmation enough. Let me make something clear to both of you. I continued straightening in my chair. For 28 years I have been your father, Emily. I have raised you, educated you, supported you in every important decision of your life. I helped you with college, with your first apartment, with your emotional crisis. I was always there, and this is what I get in return. Dad, please, she began, reaching her hand toward me. I pulled mine away. It wasn't an aggressive gesture, just deliberate. And you, Jason, you've known my daughter for 4 years. I should have taught you that there are lines you don't cross. That family is not a personal emergency fund. That when someone makes a mistake, they must face it with honesty, not with more lies. You're right, Jason muttered, his head bowed. We made a mistake. A big mistake, but we can fix it. Give us time. Time doesn't fix everything, I replied. Time only shows who you really are. And what I see here are 2 people who have no problem deceiving someone they supposedly love for money and vacations. Emily began to cry openly now. People at nearby tables started to look. It's not like that, she protested through sobs. I have always loved you. Jason pressured me. He told me it was just temporary, that no one would find out. I didn't want to do it. But you did it. I finished for her. And that's what matters. The excuses don't matter. Doesn't matter who pressured whom. You decided to forge documents. You decided to steal my identity. You decided to travel to Hawaii while leaving me with a debt that I now have to manage. I stood up from the table. They both tensed, expecting more. But there was nothing else to say at that moment. I am going to pay the loan. I am going to handle everything legally. But you two need to understand that things have changed. They have changed permanently. What do you mean? Emily asked in a small voice. I mean, I need time to think. Time to decide what your place in my life means after this. So, I will contact you when I am ready. Until then, do not contact me again. I walked to the door without waiting for a reply. But at the last moment, Emily got up and ran towards me. Dad, wait. Please, we can fix it. We can talk. We already talked, I said, turning to her but keeping my distance. The only thing left now is for you to understand that every action has consequences and yours are just beginning. I left the cafe in the rain that had started to fall. I didn't have an umbrella. I let the water soak my clothes, my face, my hair. As I walked through Chicago towards my office, where I had a pile of legal documents waiting for me, I felt something I hadn't experienced in many years. The absolute certainty that a relationship I thought was indestructible had shattered into 1,000 pieces, and that those pieces would never fit together in the same way again. Innocence had been lost, both hers and mine, and in its place was only the raw reality. That family does not automatically protect you. That love can be used as a weapon. That trust, once betrayed, is almost impossible to recover. And that sometimes the most painful thing a father can do is admit that his daughter has disappointed him beyond what he can tolerate. After leaving the cafe, I went straight to the police station in the Gold Coast neighborhood. I couldn't wait any longer. I couldn't let the situation drag on indefinitely while Jason and Emily cooked up new lies. I needed to formally document what had happened, establish an official record that would protect my name and my reputation. The station was a gray, functional building with hallways that smelled of disinfectant and institutional fatigue. I asked to speak with someone from financial crimes. After waiting 45 minutes in an uncomfortable plastic chair, I was seen by an officer named Monica Velasquez, a woman about my age with a serious professional expression. I showed her all the documents. The loan application with my forged signature, the bank statements, the receipts from the Hawaii trip, the printed email communications where Emily mentioned the plan. Monica reviewed each one meticulously, taking notes on her computer. This is quite clear, She commented after reviewing everything. We have document forgery, which is a felony under the criminal code. There is also fraud because the falsified identity was used to obtain an economic benefit, and depending on how the documents were altered, we could include computer crimes as well. What is the next step? I asked. I am going to generate a report on this. Then it will be sent to the corresponding court. The judge will decide whether to open a formal investigation. Monica asked, looking up from the screen. Yes, Brenda Miller. My daughter mentioned she was with them. The tickets were for 3 people, although initially the application was for money to solve one of Jason's problems. If his mother also traveled, it means the money was used for more things than Jason initially admitted. Monica nodded slowly. This could indicate a broader premeditated scheme. If the mother was involved or knew about the fraudulent origin of the money, that could make her an accomplice. We will investigate it. After finishing the statement, thanks for watching and subscribe.